Brooke D is a musician, songwriter, author, poet, teacher, psychic medium, and multidimensional artist in New York. Born and raised by entrepreneurs in the Bay Area, California, her work is infused with a sense of bravery, authenticity, and a willingness to evolve. While her creative journey started with deep love for music and poetry from childhood, she's continued to expand her reach, studies, and pursuits to include graphic design, photography, videography, collage, dance, healing arts, meditation, and more. Now, I'm going to put her links right into the chat. And we were first introduced to Brooke at several different Bay Area readings around San Francisco Bay Area. And I just caught her few minutes of her new album and was so impressed and really just wanted to have her with the crow. And here are the links, and you must catch up with Brooke Davalos when you can. Can I put her into the spotlight and let her sing for us? Yeah? Okay, that's a yes.
You can do that. Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you, Brooke.
Hello.
Looking forward to this.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be part of it. I would not be who I am or where I am today if it wasn't for my foundation in San Francisco and the poetry community. I feel like that's where my roots grew deep, and also was in a state of like witnessing what it means to be an artist, and to be a part of Beast Crawl, which is something I've like witnessed over the years, whether in person or just virtually. I'm really grateful to still be connected to this community, even though I haven't lived in the Bay Area for quite some time. And actually, I'm in the Bay Area right now. So I'm in real time visiting my family. Yeah, so I just put out my 8th record a few weeks ago, which is called Love Notes. Surprisingly, my favorite record I've ever done, and I recorded it all on my iPhone using the Voice Memos app. Partially because that's the way I've documented my music for such a long time, and also F the system, which the systems of control and the idea of what it means to be an artist and how much money you should spend on things and whether or not it has value. And to me, I think these voice notes recordings are like the closest you get to being with me in my bedroom when I'm writing music. So this album is called Love Notes. It's celebrating the 4 different seasons of love and the human experience. And love being like love you share with other people, or love that you're cultivating within yourself. The first song that I'm about to do now is called Let It Happen, and it's about fall. So in fall, the theme that we come to is surrender and the act of letting go. And the song is really about getting out of your own way and allowing your gifts to come through you and allowing yourself to experience joy and pleasure. And yeah, so thank you so much for having me. And this song is called Let It Happen. Will you turn the lights out? Will you pull the rug out? Will you make me feel so small? Will I turn into a puddle on the floor? Can I have a moment? Can I get some peace and quiet in my own head? Quiet on the set, just let it happen. What a soft landing. Don't see any bruises. I must be healing. Something feels different. Can I have a moment? Can I get some peace and quiet in my own head? Quiet on the set, just let it happen. Is this what flying feels like? Is this what love feels like? Don't know the difference between fear and real danger, but somehow I'm not scared. Can we have the moment? Can we get some peace and quiet in our own heads? Quiet on the set, just let it happen. Thank you.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so that's called Let It Happen. Pretty sure all artists can resonate with that one. Getting out of, well, all humans, but artists particularly, we have to get out of our own way all the time. I think that is most of it. So yeah, so that's track 1 from my album. I'm going to play all 4 of the songs from the album in this section and then in the next musical break. So I hope you'll tune in for the last 2 songs. But if not, you can find this album on all platforms, including Napster. You know, if you're still on there, I'm on all the platforms. You can find me at Brooke D Music on Instagram, which is where a lot of my music is shared, but I'm on Spotify, Apple Music, all the things with this record. And yeah, so the next song on the record is about winter, and it's about the winters we experience, whether you know, you're in a relationship or you're not. I think this song really, to me, came from all the questions that happen when you are alone. And since so many of us during the pandemic have been on our own and many of us have had to learn how to be on our own, either away from community or away from our families. This song is called The Space Between. And to me, it's the conversation that happens in your mind when you are alone and what that means to you, and finding peace in being with yourself. So yeah, this is called The Space Between. And it's on all the things. So thank you so much for listening. Can there be love in the space between? Conversations and though my heart bleeds, can I be healing even if I'm hurting? What does love really mean? Is it a fantasy? Is it even worth defining? Love a seed, and can it grow if no one's watering? Is love a question I don't know the answer to yet? Is love a fantasy? Is love a dream? Is my heart breaking, or is it opening? Is love anything? Don't ask me. 'Cause I'm excuse me. 'Cause I'm still learning, still falling down, still bruised and wondering, is this love I found? I can't tell you what I don't know. Does anybody know? Can there be love in the space between? Can there be love even if I'm lonely? Can there be love even if there is nobody? Can there be love even if it's just me? So that's all I have for you this set. But please tune in for the next musical break and stick around for all of the magical things that are about to happen. My name is Brooke D, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Brooke. As always, that was just fantastic to listen to your stylings. I know I've purchased your records before, and I've heard your style develop over the years. Really, quite honestly, the years. I remember you playing at like some of those very first Quiet Lightning shows. I think I met you at a Quiet Lightning show.
Mm-hmm.
Was just absolutely blown away by the work, and some of your work at Viracocha too. Some of the Bay Area folks might remember the old Viracocha venue, and what a legendary spot that was. You remember those days, Brooke?
I do, and I think sometimes when you're in the moment of moving forward or moving states, as I've done so many times, you forget like that those are like foundational moments, which I feel thankful that I got to be surrounded by amazing artists and poets, and I don't know, it was like a renaissance of sorts.
Still going on.
It's still happening, and even though I've not been around, I'm thankful to be a part of this.
But those years were a little bit different, though, weren't they? I mean, that was when nothing was really formalized or formalized, and the businesses hadn't yet figured out how to sort of get their grips on the thing that the artists were doing themselves. The old Viracocha space is now called Amador. You can't get in without renting the place out for premium costs now. And then you had all these people jumping over to Oakland, and that's how much similar to how the Beast Crawl got started, is because Oakland found itself very quickly inundated with a lot of businesses wanting to relocate and wanting to have performers fill in their space. And so I remember those early days of 2011 and 2012 just being like, you could sort of walk around Oakland and just sort of pick out whatever places you thought might be good to play and kind of create your own. And it had this Wild West feel. And we had seen the kind of people that would come to downtown Oakland for the old art murmurs. I don't know if you remember the old art murmurs, where the streets of Telegraph and Broadway would just be jammed with people. People carry their kids in their strollers, people smoking huge blunts, and apparently people having sex on people's porches,
love that,
which is why they had to sort of close down the streets and regulate it, because it was getting too out of hand. But man, what a party we were enjoying when that first got started. And from that, we talked a little bit about that in the Badass Bookworm podcast, like how the Roots of the Beast really not just from Lit Crawl and the wonderful work that the Lit Crawl Festival does in San Francisco's Mission District, but using that model and bringing that to Oakland, because we could see that there was a lot of that energy in Oakland as well. And the cross-pollination at that time was just so wonderful. So we're hoping that in bringing the festival back, that we can start to bring a little bit of that spirit back. That is nothing less than our goal here. But again, just so everybody knows, Brooke Dabalos is going, once we're about to jump into, and we're about to hand it over to J.K. Fowler and Nomadic Press with an incredible lineup of readers, and we'll let J.K. tell you about that. But and as we go from that reading into our next reading, we will get another set of music from Brooke Dabalos after this. We'll be posting the link to that event as in the second half of this reading. So again, Brooke, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you.
And let's see, and and we have folks in the room, and I know there were some other folks who wanted to come in, and yes, and so I just want to introduce Nomadic Press. Nomadic Press is my press. I just put a book out, a full-length collection of poems called Bone Moon Palace with Nomadic Press. This as of July 3rd, and this is the first press I've ever done a second book with. And it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of this unbelievably rich community. It just has made the past couple of years it's brought some redemption to the past couple of years, to be perfectly honest. And I'm really grateful and indebted to JK and Michaela Mullen, who are sort of the head honchos at Nomadic Press. But as I watch Nomadic Press develop over the years, I noticed they're bringing in some other honchos to run the show as well. And that's good, because good organized good organizations, viable organizations, have succession plans, and Beast Crawl is also committed to having a succession plan. I swear we really are. So, but did you want to say anything, Youssef? Because I think because I believe Nomadic Press is one of your presses as well.
Yes, we're admitting people, and thank you, and you're up. Thank you, JK.
Okay, well, thank you, Paul, and thank you, Youssef. And thank you to the entire Beast Crawl team. I know it takes a village to piece something together, even if it's in virtual, and sometimes that's even more work on the back end. So much appreciation for all the work you all did. I'm J.K. Fowler, publisher at Nomadic Press. For those of you who I haven't met, it's nice to meet you. I'm going to stand down in just a second and hand it off to Nazila Jameson, who's going to MC for our short time here. Tula Biederman is also available on the back end for any tech questions that you may have, and the Beast Crawl team, of course, is available as well. And super excited to have such an amazing lineup of readers join us today. So like I said, I'm gonna keep it short. Nazila Jameson is the author of Evolutionary Heart, which came out with Nomadic Press not too long ago. Also the host of our virtual open mic, and has an endless list of amazing things that she has accomplished in her short time with us here on the Spinning Rock. So looking forward to the many things to come. I'll hand it off to you, Nazila.
Hello, everyone. I'm so pleased to see you. All of my friends are here. I love that. You know that these things are really just an excuse for us to see each other, right? You realize that. So really, I just came to hang out with my friends for an hour on a Saturday afternoon. Hi, y'all look good. Look at them good looking people in little boxes. That's so awesome. Welcome to Beast Crawl, the Nomadic Press edition. As you probably already know, Beast, East Bay is Pig Latin for beast, and you yourself are a beast. So here we are. Hi, Kalechi. Anyway, we have a really exciting lineup of poetry for you. And we're real glad to see y'all. And we're just going to go into it now. I just have to say, I did not have any time at all to figure out how to pronounce people's names. So if I mangle your name, please forgive me and correct me, and I'll get it right on the outro. So our first reader coming to the mic was born on a Sunday in July. A Chicago-based writer and cultural strategist, they are the author of Against Heaven, which came out on Graywolf Press, or which is coming out on Graywolf Press in 2022. Selected by Claudine Rankin as winner of the Academy of American Poets First Book Award and co-editor of the Echoing Ida collection, which came out on the Feminist Press this year. Their work has been published in The Atlantic, Poetry, Catapult, Best New Poets, The Breakbeat Poets Volume 2, and elsewhere. You can learn more at KemiAlabi.com, and you can pre-order Against Heaven at bookshop.org. And you can follow them on Instagram by their name, which I'm going to tell you right now is Kemi Alabi.
Thank you for that introduction. Hello, everybody. It is nice to see you in your little boxes. My name is Kemi Alabi, again, coming out of Chicago. I'm really excited to be here, even in the middle of fires and floods and quakes and bans and wars, both hot and cold. There is still poetry and increasingly ridiculous and necessary endeavor. So shout out to all y'all for being here. Shout out to Beast Crawl. Shout out to Nomadic Press. Shout out to this beautiful lineup. I'm so excited to hear these poets. And shout out to Adrienne Marie Brown, who dropped this poem yesterday on her blog, and I just put it in the chat. The title of this poem is What They Do to the Earth, They Do to Our Bodies. And I've really been resonating with that. It's been a through line, that thought, what they do to the earth, they do to our bodies, a through line in my poetry for years now. So I just wanted to share that first as an offering and a refrain that can contextualize some of these poems that I'll be sharing with y'all. What they do to the earth, they do to our bodies. What they do to the earth, they do to our bodies. So I'll share a few poems with y'all with those thoughts in mind. The first poem is After Peace by my dear friend Benji Hart. I will be using the chat section because I do like to cite my sources. This is the poem that this next one is after. I wrote it after spending a day on a permaculture farm in Trinidad. And our host had prepared this amazing meal for us in this farm kitchen. It had all this freshly harvested food, these expertly blended spices. I watched them tend to the meal, and I savored it like no meal I'd had recently. And it made me write 44 questions to ask while binging, remembering that what they do to the earth, they do to our bodies. 44 questions to ask while binging. How many hands have touched this food? What were their intentions? How vast is the range? What makes them hands at all? How many seeds survived their birth for this? Did you count yourself? From sprout to pluck, how many breaths old was the oldest? What's become of its homeland? How many breaths will it add to yours? Or is this a thing that takes? Which things were born dead for this? Did you count yourself? Which born free? Which born food? Is there a state in between? How old was the well of that answer? If governments and their signed scrolls are Plato's cave wall shadows, where is the real sun? What's become of its homeland? How many generations removed from the land are you? What floor takes its place? What is it built on top of? Are the people who tended that place still alive? Are there any living descendants? Is their language still spoken on earth? If you heard it, would your feet twitch? Or does dead mean gone? How many gone things in your place? Did you count yourself? What does your body and the day it makes cost? What is its price in gone things? Is this sustainable, better, regenerative? Or will this make you the most gone thing alive? Is God or the human, the cave wall shadow? Who says the shadow is nothing at all? Are you still eating? Who? What for? What have you grown in its place? How much is enough? Is enough a place or a count? Is there a state in between, or does enough mean gone? Did you enough yourself? In the language of the oldest gone thing, how do you say devour? Thank you. This next poem, again, with the refrain in our minds of what they do to the earth, they do to our bodies, or what the earth does, our body does. I drafted this next poem a decade ago. It was for this Valentine's Day slam between two teams. One was love and one was death. And I swear that to this day, I can't tell you which team I wrote this poem for. So this is a love letter from Pompeii. How many years since our ground last split open and shook? Remember how that quake made us dance without moving our feet. Our song is a crumbling world, all the bedrooms unwalled and on fire. Thank Vesuvius. They say it's why our temples keep tipping. Say the neck spills a death heat before the black, red everything. Would you call this violence or weather? I don't trust your hands, but I believe your bite is guiltless as the rain. Would you call this love or the death heat? If we must melt, can it be from the inside out? Can they find our bones vined, my salt scorched into your teeth, quick, while we're still soft, still thick grips and whole mouthfuls? I want to melt while it still feels good to scream. This next poem, to switch gears, I wrote during one particular president's reign, but it's applicable to anyone past, present, future, placed in charge of this death machine. It is called We Would Hex the President, but. We would hex the president, but our bloom game too strong. Altar stays red candle, cinnamon lit, sweet flicker cracking into prance. Stays portal door warmed ajar, spell flung darkward. Would, but we so black, we lightless. No mirrors. So touch, sound, food, our cedar smoke, drum kicks the body back to gospel. Drumsticks the body smacked in mouthfuls, the room perfumes with our funk bright wild. Wood, but our skin yams. Plush mothers cackling, juice dripping, and this just our first slow branch ascending. Wood, but neighbors to dine and unstranger, root bind into kin. A nation of misalphaed wolf carcass to climb through, would hex their new head, that never man, rot reeking the soil. But who'd feed these seeds? That wet orange howl, just compost slime, returning. The sky glows red candle, air soots and sludges darkward. Still, our funk bright wild, block by block, our tangling. We would hex the damned born dead, but billions still alive, cord and alive, threshed concave and still sweet flickers. Would, but who needs these feasts? And the last poem I'll share borrows its first lines from this Saba song I love, which will be in this chat. There's heaven all around me. And it borrows words to end line from this Nick Hakim song, What If Heaven's Right Here? Remembering what they do to the earth, they do to our bodies. This poem is called Against Heaven. And thank you so much for your time. There's earth, amethyst, cherries in heat, trees drooling sugar, midnight's blue song. So what heaven? That kingdom hold by a coy god's touch, where green and the river began. If all Father tells it, first you slave and shiver and shuck and die, for heaven's round back gate to budge loose at the bent speck of you. Lies, no doors, no lines, look right. Me and mine kissed alive, greening. Curl up and chime against us. The river's born here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kemi. Kemi Alabi. Amazing poetry this afternoon. See, look at you on a Saturday afternoon enjoying poetry. That's what I'm talking about. That's a great day right there. All right. Our next reader's work is published or forthcoming in Four-Way Review, OK Donkey Magazine, Tramp Set, and elsewhere. She is an editor-in-chief for the Augment Review. She has 2 cats, and she tweets at Stella Lay IO4. You can find more of her work at her website, stellalaywrites.weebly.com. Please welcome our next reader, Stella Lay.
Thank you so much for that introduction and for inviting me here, and to all of you guys for coming in and enjoying poetry this Saturday. So I have 3 poems today. I'm going to start with one that is, I guess, kind of a self-erasing poem, so it repeats twice and erases itself a little bit more each time. So I guess the same idea as a burning hyphen, but it's not a burning hyphen. So this first poem is titled Self-Portrait as Metal Decaying. These days, I open all my poems against a blade. I turn 18 with a Swiss Army knife in hand, slice cake so thin the pieces disappear, expended into steel. This is how I enter the world. Knees scabbed, fists before my face. See, at knife point, the wound opens before the cut, flinches in anticipation of hurt, like a bird spreading its feathers, bracing itself for the fall. How I shield my face with hands stretched into wings. In biology, I learn my body as fight or flight, feedback loop, reaction cascade. Everything echoes into something else, the way punches rebound into my own fist, the way a mother rebounds into child, into child, into child. At the door, my mother tucks car keys between my knuckles, slips razor blades up my sleeves, and isn't this another bedtime story? Warnings passed hand to hand, breaths cradled in my fists, gasping against the ache of night. In biology, I learn inheritance as blood reborn into another body. So I slit birds open and baptize my hands in their flight, break their wings and turn my palms to the sky. These days, I open. I turn knife so thin the steel opens in anticipation of hurt. In biology, I learn my body as fight, the way punches rebound into child, into child, into child. At the door, my mother slips razor blades hand to hand, so I slit open, break my palms. These days, I open, I open, I open. So that was the first poem. And then I have a second one that I wrote a little bit more recently, I think like a week or 2 ago. And this one is titled, My Cousin Tells Me the Best Parts of a Fish, which is a little bit based on real interactions with my cousin, so that's fun. But yeah, so this is poem number 2. My cousin tells me the best parts of a fish are its eyes, crushed against the roof of a mouth. Says, don't chew too fast. Savor the rush of fat. Before eating, I angle the pupils so they can watch me swallow, see their path down my throat. The fish gapes empty at the kitchen wall, and don't I owe it this? Some surety, a direction in exchange for death. Summer, I collect flashlights, glass, anything that can see, fit them in my face and pantomime prescience, stretch my arms and pretend to know where they go. Online, salmon thrash upstream in 480p, a thrum of pixelated red. Their bodies rot in their scales, and is this mercy? Decay as homecoming, finality born into flesh. Autumn, I list endings in gum wrappers before throwing them away. Knots, lakes, any wall without a door. Outside my classroom, the camera's fisheye lens stares in ultra-wide angles, rots my body into sphere. That's the closest I know to all-seeing. 360 degrees trapped in glass, like turning a fishbowl and watching minnows dart wall to wall. As a child, I flung my arms and spun, decaying, driveway whirling until knees bit ground. Last month, I folded the bathroom mirror until my face fractured in thirds, a winged eye on each side. And is that vision, breakage to see in full? Winter, I sit in the driver's seat and bring headlights to life. Bathe my front door in cruel LEDs, doorknob, number, bells splitting into shadow. Snow clots the windshield and I smear my fingers across glass. Try to clean it from inside. So that was the second poem. And there were a lot of questions, I guess, in the poem. I guess this is a time where I'm asking a lot of questions and it's a time of a lot of unsurety. So and I'm going to end with one last poem that was published in Sign Theta magazine's most recent issue. I don't have a link because this is a print-only magazine, but I really love Sign Theta, and it would be cool to support them and buy that issue. But this final poem is titled Pedagogy, or How My Father Taught Me to Drive. My first lesson was gunshot, how weapons home themselves where you aim them, how hands are worthless if they can't steal. I was 6 when I spun aimless through the lake and you pointed a kayak paddle to the horizon. You go where your eyes go, but I leashed my wrists to water, wouldn't reach for land. On shore, you showed me how ferns recurse, generations within each leaf. You taught me parenthood as iteration. Every switchblade births another knife, folds lineage into steel. I grew up and you cursed the length of my hands, the width of my decay, the lesson I always forgot. Potential energy coils in the paddle before its stroke, the fist before its swing. I expend too much, too quick, shed gunpowder before it lights. In dreams, I fly down highways with only one lane, mouthful of gas, fistful of speed. You point down the road and say aim, but all I see is water and we're an hour from the shore. I swerve and asphalt unzips into canyons striped with bone, mine buried closer to the surface than yours, and we nosedive, kinetic all the way down. I unclench my hands and the steering wheel spins loose. God, I hope the ground floods forth. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Stella Leah. Thank you so much. Amazing work. Our next reader is a Black Chicago native currently living in Cincinnati, Ohio. She was the first place winner of both the 2020 Poetry Superhighway and the 2020 Frontier Poetry Award for New Poets contests, and a finalist for the 2020 Frontier Open Prize. She is the author of the chapbook Blood Warm from Variant Lit, and her debut feature-length I Done Clicked My Heels 3 times, forthcoming from Soft Skull Press in spring of 2023. She is represented by Rena Rossner of the Deborah Harris Agency, and you can purchase Bloodworm at variantlit.com and follow her on Instagram at her name Poet, and her name is Taylor Byas.
Yes, thank you so much for that introduction, for Beast Crawl and Nomadic Press for having me here with this wonderful, wonderful lineup of poets. And to everyone who is here tonight on a Saturday. I'm going to read 2 poems from my chapbook and then one other poem that was a finalist for the Frontier Prize. So I'm going to start with the Pantoum because I'm a lover of formal poetry, and Pantoum is one of my favorite forms. So this poem is from my chapbook and it's titled, I Don't Care If Mary Jane Gets Saved or Not. I can't lie. I tried to imagine myself in Spider-Man's grip. My damsel in distress screamed, strung through the city like Christmas lights. I really did. But my black ass would never be in Spider-Man's grip. My damsel in distress don't look like Kirsten Dunst or Emma Stone. I looked. I really did. But my black ass would never be dainty enough to be rescued by a white hero. The movie villains don't look like Kirsten Dunst or Emma Stone. I looked. But the women who terrorize me in real life are dainty enough to be rescued by a white hero. The movie villains always come for the white heroine and she will cry. But the women who terrorize me in real life are strategic, hammering out an axe with tears. The playbook goes, always come for the white heroine and she will cry wolf, cry danger, call the police, the 911 call strategic, hammering out an axe with tears. The playbook goes, there's an African-American woman threatening me. Cry, wolf, cry, danger, call the police. The 911 call, a masterclass on acting. Mary Jane would kill me if it was in the script. There's an African-American woman threatening me. Cry until Spider-Man dropped from the sky. The way I play dead, a masterclass on acting. Mary Jane would kill me if it was in the script, because what else could I be but the villain until Spider-Man dropped from the sky? The way I play dead in the cocoon of Spider-Man's web, you can tell I've practiced. Because what else could I be but the villain? I can't lie. I try to imagine myself. Okay, then I'm also going to read the final poem of the chapbook before I read something that's out of this. This poem is what kind of inspired the title of this chapter as well. And it was also inspired by a tweet by Phil Bryant, who was the governor of Mississippi. And he tweeted, if Mike Epstein and the liberal Democrats gain the Senate, we will take that first step into 1,000 years of darkness. And I thought that was interesting, as if our country has not already been immersed in lots of years of darkness, but this poem is titled Geophagia. They say eating the soil might be good for you, to have your pale chiclet teeth red-lined by clay, your ocean-clear mouthwash bloodied when you spit in the sink. Mistake this for a split lip, a back alley beating that has left the tongue fat enough to rick your cries for help. Your grandmother tells you to avoid the clay cooling in the shade of the taller trees, and you don't. After rain, the clay goes garnet, clumps of wine dark up to your elbows, smeared around your lips. My God, you've gone cannibal. They say eating the soil might be good for you with all its minerals. The blood that wept from swollen black toes and dried in the shape of another country. In death, someone fed this tree. After a few mouthfuls tonight, you feel a little madness creeping in. You watch the sunset while sitting back on your heels, its half step into darkness, packing the world into red clay. This is blood warm, the heat of night closing in like a mob. Bribe the sun to set on you instead. Let it light you aflame. Okay, and the last poem I'm going to share, this poem was inspired by a poem of the same title by Anita Scott Coleman, and it's called And So You Want a Poem, and this was just me. I've been working on a manuscript that's thinking about the male gaze and about how looking at things through that lens is inherently violent. And also while reading Anita Scott Coleman's poem, this poem sort of came about. And so this is And So You Want a Poem. And so you slap it on the ass at the bar, buy it a drink, between you and the bartender, a double. And so it's single, blowing steam after a hard day at work, bleary-eyed and losing hope in everything except what's in that glass. And maybe you. And so the music revs up and you drink your body into a cage. 2 arms on either side of the poem, enough room between the 2 of you for Jesus and the list of tricks you've mastered with your tongue. It's late now, and the rowdy Friday night crowd spills in from another bar, all mint and maraschino mouths moving, marking each other up. And so you can't hear the poem, have to really lend an ear to it, get down on its level. And so you ask it if it wants to go somewhere more quiet, back to your place. Once home, you tell it to get comfortable, and it asks for a beer. And so you crack open 2, tornado gulp yours to prove you are made for pouring into. But it's not ready for anything yet. And so you suggest going out back. It's a nice night. And so you lead it out into the yard, show it where you cut wood for the fire. You wear a shirt? It asks, and this is your shot. You are shirtless in the moon's mirror, nudging the poem to sit on the tree stump with axe nicks that cross and uncross themselves. Let me show you how it's done, as you weed the axe from the earth. And so the poem is impressed as you wind up, your body more machine than muscle. You cut a whistle into the air. The shawl of cicada song dulls the thud of your axe bit burrowing into the face of the tree. And so the poem's 2 halves part like angry lovers. So quick, it couldn't scream. And so you can't begin to realize what you have done. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was amazing. Right on. So a lot of the poets tonight I haven't heard before. And so I'm all excited for my bookshelf right now. So yes, follow all of them. I believe that all the details are being posted in chat. And so grab that during this reading. Our next reader is the author of 3 chapbooks, the latest titled Those Who Pray to Rice, which came out on NightBallet Books in 2019 and is available for purchase at nightballetpress.blogspot.com. They are a member of the Latino AX arts collective called Los Artistas del Barrio Buffalo and a teaching artist at the Just Buffalo Literary Center. They have recently completed a month-long project as the poetry teaching artist for the Woke Word Summer Enrichment Program at PS 18, where the students also created a public poetry mural for the city of Buffalo, New York. You can find them talking about the politics of rice, working on his poetry caravan, or looking for the next reading or writing opportunity. Those Who Pray to Rice, again, is available at nightballetpress.blogspot.com. and you can follow them on Instagram if you search their name, which is Julio Montalvo Valentin.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. I gotta remember that bios can be fun, and every time I hear them, they're just beautiful to hear. They almost sound like a poem in themselves. One poem, Flamboyant Butterfly. We, the roses under hushed suns, march in tune to bring change to the oppressors as we attempt to appeal to their humanity. Over the heaps of dead stems, we are all raised to stretch, to bloom, to consume until we die, but proudly, even under their egos and high stomach belches and bloated fingers that count us like dollar signs and test subjects. I hope the power wage pansies who stand to gain from your death realize before they burn in fever like you. The doctor said, death is like two crows picking at the inevitable in gutters. And into a carousel they go like a disco ball, spinning doctorates into pages and your name into patient 101. The poem. They found you in the staircase of my youth. You were black-eyed Susan with a fake ID foaming at the hinges of your lips, having prayed for rice. They registered you as Susan on paper. They told us you had nothing of worth as they carried you down 7 flights of stairs and teleported you out of existence. They revived you with Narcan and orange juice since the system still had sympathy for diabetics. You didn't wake up for weeks as we left prayers because we know that there is something divine inside bowls after they have been eaten when you have known the pains of hunger. Maybe God too knows what it means to be hungry. Maybe he craved for companionship and made us. I guess that's why your hunger seems so natural, as we all aspire to be lifted the same way, just through different means. Months after they took you away, we no longer danced to Gran Combo and filled our hearts with strings of memories meant to keep us afloat. Who knew flamboyant butterflies are scorned by obscure people below? Not I, not a Puerto Rican child who knew nothing of climbing white mountains and dancing under kaleidoscope stars. Maybe you were like me, browsing the city skylines for dreams tangible enough to grasp in our tiny brown palms as we live our lives like straw men, hollow men, doomed men with nothing of our own. Had I known sooner, I would have thrown your shooting stars out that night like everyone else did in the South Bronx. Maybe then you would have been able to get out of that bug jar with orderlies set out to make your days bleak and gray. Did they ever tell you that the doctors think that Puerto Ricans ebb and flow with wind as sharp as politics? That we survive because we know life is like quicksand and humans were never meant to stay still? Have they been able to figure out the queries etched into your arms? I bet they still don't know your name. When I last saw you, your skin felt like bark. Your shape was air, dissipating as if you were ready to dance with the other black-eyed Susans in fields of rounded sky. They only let me know when they have learned that you couldn't infect anyone else, just a carrier forced to deal with the burden alone. But we, my family, we were the flowers that bloomed in the last wind, cultivating a miracle beyond measure as she sat up on her hospital bed, pivoted her feet into the stillness of the tiles and stood with the last of her strength as she smiled and danced with us once more. You died the same morning and all the flowers in the Bronx died. We live in a world that still sees love as something as infliction, Everyone came in mourning with buckets of laughter. Even then, you were so beautifully dressed in yellow, and everyone wanted to lift you up for another dance like monarchs and sap, fluttering spores of love and glitter on all that you have touched. When the ceremony was done, 2 bearers were enough to carry your bones to its last party, where all hollow things dance with Mother Death and never truly die. For we are all buried in cloaks of flowers that hopefully pay for our freedom in the afterlife. But I still curse your lover, and I still curse his blood. Today was the first time I heard of you again. I went to school dreaming of rainbows. Afterwards, I went to visit your rebirth as she no longer burns to the touch. She glows in the best memories of you, even though she too is doomed for hardships. She told me her doctor still lollygagged your name in their throats, saying you were cursed from birth. They still call you Black-Eyed Susan from the Bronx, who died not knowing her own name. But your name was Lily, and your name is still here. Thank you.
Thank you, Julio. That was beautiful. Julio Montalvo Valentin. All right, we're keeping it going. And now, our next reader is a Philly-born, Bay Area-based poet and book editor. He earned his MA in English at the University of Southern California and his MFA in creative writing at San Francisco State University. He was a previous editor-in-chief of 14 Hills, the SFSU Review, and his work has appeared in journals and anthologies, most recently Puerto del Sol, Cajibi, Jubilat, and Best American Non-Required Reading. He lives in Seaside, California with his wife, Olivia, and 2 cats, Ember and Micah. The Move, which recently came out on Nomadic Press 2021, is his first book, which you can, of course, purchase at nomadicpress.org and check out more of his work at hisname.com. Our next reader is Keith Donnell Jr.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Nazila. Thank you, Nomadic Press, and thank you all for joining us. I'm going to read 3 poems from my new collection, The Move. And so some folks have asked me a little bit about the cover. The cover, it's kind of weird. It's a costume it's a stage costume worn by one of the members of LaBelle, specifically Nona Hendrix. And for those who don't know, LaBelle, lead singer was Patti LaBelle, but they were a kind of a soul funk rock female music group, kind of active in like the 60s and 70s. And once they got into the 70s, they really adopted a kind of like Afro-futuristic aesthetic. And that's really important to my book. For those who aren't familiar, Afrofuturism being a kind of a mode of thought and aesthetic about imagining alternative futures, alternative timelines, alternative worlds in which Black humanity can be fully comprehended and respected. The implication that that's just not possible here. And my collection as a whole is really kind of exploring that idea and imagining, sometimes successfully, sometimes unsuccessfully, imaginative spaces where something like this is possible. So the first poem I'm going to read is called Sketching Lesson. And I started a couple of years ago when, there was this public debate around, it's like when a Black life is lost, especially a young Black life, even on the most charitable sides, right? It becomes this question of like, oh, well, did they keep their noses clean or not? You know what I mean? Were they like in that life, or were they honor roll, as if it matters about the quality of the life, that the value of the life that was lost. So this is a poem for me, kind of trying to kind of work through that phenomena. Sketching lesson. Sketch the boy mid-punishment, under woven straw, minding young crutched tomato vines, weeding, rusty spade chopping, rechopping. Take time on the hands, meet his fingers halfway. Give him his daddy's grip, chin, sin, and when he rises, penance paid, you will provide cool glass, iced tap, wipe both knees clean with good handkerchief. Let two determined eyes betray his thin chipped coat misery. His mouth, biting back smile, begins to give in. Just enough to suggest the presence of that complex root system living beneath, feeding, deep breaching, reaching for water. Boy returned handful of penny candy to your corner store, all on his own. And in this condition of forgiveness, he's found himself some home. Too much to this boy you'll never know, beyond shade and perspective, charcoal strokes. Run with that. Ungloved hands circuited into earth, black body like blown fuse box, pencil descending, match striking, go on. Quick fix the kid. Just kidding, as if you ever could. He looks in through the old wire screen door, dim kitchen, to the very heart of you, the shadow within it. So should fiery summer nights, slain baby, make page in morning paper, retrieve me for reference and mourn. Never mind the creases, dog-eared corners, my edge torn. I'm only door for inward opening. But soon, the prospect of unread news causes brooding. And from another buried lead, politicized headline, you're trembling. And in his smudged little ink print image, be it yearbook, Sears, or mugshot, stoical or scowling, grin or grimace, lies no vague feeling, some hunch, but this crystal clear fact. That tiny bit of gone backyard garden would have fed generations. So I'm gonna read a second poem. It's called Dreaming Hours. This is no time to worry about nothing. Now's the dreaming hour. And sure, they say we poor, but I keep that lamp on in the hall, crack your door. So go on, let big bad light bill soar high as it wants to fly. If we can always go shoot old crow down from open window with this here bow, because neighbor lady with ornery dog still owes me that spare arrow she borrowed for something she won't tell, so I don't know. So keep that sorrow for sunny morrow, cause no, this no time to worry about nothing. For now's the dreaming hour. And if you want that cup cool water, I'll fill it. And if the night isn't quiet enough, I'll hush it. And if that shadow grips your wrist, I'll expose it. And whatever you got that you just can't drop, well then home, they stole it. So free your tired child mind, cause no, this is no time to worry about nothing. For now's the dreaming hour. And dreams need sleep like fish need sea. And if we want a big fish, then we gotta go deep, but not too far, cause farther we go, harder it'll be to breathe. And when you finally do rise, it'll be the pure sunshine, light blue sky, polyester suit, clip-on tie, but eggs and grits first, because it's another Sunday morning, so you know we going to church. And I got just enough bus fare to get us there, and we'll say prayers for merciful return. And so no, this is no time to worry about nothing. For now's the dreaming hour. And when they come, they go blind, but you see how life wasn't real when you woke, or honest if you're conscious. But we're not right for a chat like that, because no. Okay, I think I have time for one more. And just real quick, this is about the perfect food truck. And as I was writing through it, it became something more. It's called Gigi's Food Truck. Thank you, sir. Yes, God bless our famous mobile soul food kitchen. Biggest platters in the city. Earth trembling, deep fried whiting, jerk chicken, peach cobbler, beans and rice, rice and peas, French fries, collard greens, veggie medleys, oxtail stew, yams, plantains, beignets, banana pudding, sweet potato pie, about to make me cry. Meat patty Mondays, fried shrimp Fridays, gumbo Sundays if you're lucky. Pick your meat and two sides. Hands down best food you'll find rolling through here on four wheels. Heaven with two sides. Take you there on a two-way ticket. Cornbreads, etc., drinks in the cooler, no refunds, but no refunds, and sure, just now, coming soon, we cater. So what y'all want? Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. See, now I'm hungry. What you do that for? As you were saying that poem, I'm picturing all that food. Now that's not fair. See, got me all worked up. That was awesome. Thank you, Keith. Please purchase Keith's book, The Move, at nomadicpress.org. All right. So our finale poet is a writer from Oakland, California, primarily a self-taught poet. He is the author of two collections. His first, Black Steel Magnolias in the Hour of Chaos Theory, won the 2018 Penn Oakland Josephine Miles Award. James is a Cave Canem Fellow. For more writing, visit thedirtyrat.blog. Black Steel Magnolias in the Hour of Chaos Theory was first published by Nomadic Press in 2018, and the second edition will be released by Nomadic Press on September 18th, 2021, and is available for pre-order at nomadicpress.org. James's second book, Martian, the Saint of Loneliness, will be published by Nomadic Press in 2022. And some exciting news about this book is apparently coming very soon. So stay tuned to our socials and please welcome the illustrious poet, James Cagney.
I love you, Nas. My heart is yours. And love to everybody out there in Zoom world tonight. And love to Beast Crawl and to Nomadic. And love to all of the artists and poets that we're representing today. This first poem is a found poem. The original text for it can still be found on guardian.org. The author is Edward Curtin, and the name of the original article is The Satanic Nature of the Bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, published in 2018. This is my remix of that article. This is called Found in America, Bad Apples. American history is the story of demonic possession, servile killers of sinister power, mass murderers divinely blessed and guided to manifest their own destiny, which involved enslaving and killing millions. Satan wears the other's face. Others have always been expendable since they stand in the way of the American God's imperial march to war. Wars sponsored and red carpeted. Wars waged over fuel and false flag operations. Most Americans write off unprecedented state terrorism as a series of aberrations carried out by bad apples. Bad apples torching cities of civilians to death with cluster bombs of napalm. Americans charbroil cities under infrared ashes and uranium tar, then go to lunch, possessed by the delusions of our own God-blessed goodness. We grew up under the bomb, under orders. Whose orders? Then discriminate against radiated ethnic children, leaving them to smolder for decades and die while we giggle hide under desks, then wax nostalgic about black rain over mimosa lunch. For Americans, innocence is a secular faith. Brain-rattling games, our national religion. What are we really? Hyenas with polished masks, conical incisors and fangs alternating red, white, blue. Red as blood, blood on every street corner, blood tides on the shoreline, blood in our pockets, blood on the tracks, blood on a former mother's dress, blood on her face. This second poem I'm gonna rep. Actually, shout out to Taylor, because I almost assumed I would be the only person to read a pantun tonight. Cagney, you was fooled. And that's beautiful, beautiful work, Taylor. This has no title. Bring coffins to the Capitol. You might need a ride home. These mobs see democracy as a nigger and will torch their own courthouse for it. Beer can politicians mosh pit with police until insecurities become law. Common sense is copyrighted and morality a worthless stock. These mobs see democracy as a nigger and will torch their own courthouse for it. Ignorance is a jealous God, and many of our enemies now see our point. Common sense is copyrighted and morality a worthless stock. There's a sale on souvenirs at the crucifixion where despots worldwide are fighting for seats. Ignorance is a jealous God, and many of our enemies now see our point. Beer can politicians mosh pit with police until insecurities become law. There's a sale on souvenirs at the crucifixion where despots worldwide are fighting for seats. Bring coffins to the Capitol. You might need a ride home. And finally, this is designed after a poem by Allen Ginsberg that he wrote in 1956. This poem, to me, is called Between a Rock Wall and an Immigrant. America, goddamn. This is what it's like being between Plymouth's rock wall and an immigrant. America, liberty and justice sure do make cute baby goat names. America, your wig is powdered with coke, but the lice don't seem to mind. America, I'm leaning in. I'm waiting for the conversation to turn to genocide so I can say, me too. America, wake up. You're missing the point. You invented terrorism, but only used dark-skinned models for its ad campaigns. You award assassins with Black Friday arms deals. America, when I say you, I mean we, the people, I guess. I plan to make extra cash trademarking waterboarding, but it's patented already. Are there tortures you don't profit from? To which bank do you entrust your thoughts and prayers? America, can you say her name? As in a novena, not a marketing slogan. America, 9 people were murdered in a church, but the shooter on your flatbed truck missed lunch. 11 people were murdered in a synagogue, but they brought it on themselves by praying unarmed. 20 children were shot at Sandy Hook, but your taste is for a loaded gun over a living child. If you say you love children, Emmett Till has 4 little girls he'd like to ask you about. Here I go, bringing up old shit again. America, you pass blood hand to hand, generation to generation. Has it ever occurred to you that you might be the savage, the terrorist, the outside threat you are most afraid of? Ask the Dakota Sioux their version of our history. Ask the buffalo about the endless pains. Ask the poisoned dead about the true meaning of Thanksgiving. Don't act like you don't know what I am talking about. You dropped all the compassion units from all your mindfulness classes. America, what do we tell our children about this home of dead braves? What do we tell our children, period? America, you had a great idea once. You're a dry drunk. You throw a bomb, then hide your hand. You're the main suspect and loudest victim. Stop. children? What's the sound of a mag light hitting a migrant skull? This is not set up for a bar joke. This is me wondering why people are still crossing deserts to escape slavery and oppression, only to meet a walled promised land. In 1987, President Ronald Reagan demanded Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev tear down this wall dividing East and West Berlin. After all these years, it never occurred to me that we kept those bricks in storage. America, you're a big foster home where the poor comes in for its abuse. It's possible that the people who've passed the naturalization test know more of American history than you do, and they still want to live here. America, kneeling was once viewed as a sign of respect or surrender, a sign of honor or a pledge. When a Black man kneels, that gesture becomes threatening. America, there I go, there I go, there I go. America, can you just say her name? Any name, insert a name here like voting someone off your island. America, this year, my therapist recommended I get a facelift. I misheard her say race lift. America, every time a siren rings, a Black man gets his wings and his mother kneels at an open casket to sing the national anthem. God's heart, a bursting, a napalm cherry midair. What would it look like? Who would we be if we had no one left to hate or ban? Can you imagine this with your eyes open? Thank you guys. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, good Lord, James Cagney.
I love you, Nas.
That was wonderful. I love you too. We should see each other in person soon.
Absolutely. My arms are thirsty for you.
I feel that way about a bunch of y'all. Some of y'all I don't know, so I can't feel like that for you. But it's a bunch of y'all faces in there. Trey, hi. I love y'all. So anyway, thank you so much. That has been Nomadic Press's offering to Beast Crawl today on a Saturday. Thank you, Paul and Beast Crawl and Yusuf for having us. Please donate to Beast Crawl's GoFundMe. There is indeed a link in the chat. Also, you can go to nomadicpress.org. There is a donation link there. We are a nonprofit and we welcome donations. And please look out for our upcoming events that we always have. The Nomadic Press virtual open mic on Friday nights, Speaking Ashalot on every third Thursday. Get lit every third Tuesday, and all the book releases and fundraisers and all the things. Thank you very much for coming. I have been Nazila, your gracious host. I'm out.
Thank you. Thank you, Nazila. Thank you, James. Thank you, readers. Everybody. Woo! Unmute yourselves and give them a big hand, everybody. And Lyrics and Dirges is up next, and the link for Lyrics and Dirges is in the chat screen. We'll see you shortly.